I make my candle holders over, you know, I put this in the vise and then I pound the aluminum.
Just hold it up, turn it slowly. That's it. Do you still make the candle holder?
Candle.
Okay, now what was this device here?
This is for the
Making bracelets?
bracelet. Bracelet.
Hold it up one more time and I can focus in on it. And then rotate it. That's it. All right. Okay. Do you remember that the one had a little D on it, just a D?
Oh, did I make something with a D?
Like my father started out, he just had an A, then he put his name on it.
I may need to do that. I don't remember now.
How about those chisels over there?
What these are nice for is when you want to make a bend on something, you just break it, you know.
Uh-huh. Right on along the edge there.
Yeah. And it's easy to bend it, you know. It's also nice for splitting wood. I'm disappointed in that I don't find it. I wonder whether Joe knows something about it.
Yeah. Well, you may find it. I'll show you what I would like to have sometime is you take and make a series just on a little piece of aluminum. Is this the stamp on a piece of scrap aluminum? You just the stamp. I'll show you what I have with my father's, but I would like, could you maybe do that on just a piece of scrap? Just put your two trademarks on a piece?
Well, no, I have these that...
Well, with those ones, yeah.
I can do it right now.
Yeah.
Those, sure. Just, do some... Wow.
There it is. There it is.
Yeah, there's your...
There's one of the geese. That would have come from Fin. You got that from Finley. How about this sailboat?
I don't know about that sailboat.
Because that looks like one of Dad's too. Exactly like his.
Oh, I didn't make it, I tell you that.
Okay, just leave it sit right there. That's it. Get it around.
Well, I had a Grove City stamp. I wonder what happened to it. And then for the Chautauqua, it was Grove City, PA. I'm kind of proud of the stamp that I made myself.
You did what? Oh yeah, those are nice. This is another one that would have been.
I think that came from Finley too. That was made by somebody at Cooper Bessemer.
So hold it up. That one, that arrow shaped. I wanted to put it on there.
See, there's some of my cattle steak series.
And that one is, when did you do that one?
I think I made it back in the around 1938, 39.
So how many dies would you say you had made before the war ended, or before the war started? That's when it was.
Well, just this and the primrose that I showed you on the tray, 3 flowers, primrose, and the grain pattern, and the garden scene. That's all. That's,
garden scene. Do you have an example of the garden scene?
yeah, the garden scene right here.
Okay.
You saw it on the wastebasket.
Okay, yeah. Now, this between me and the lamppost, that butterfly, the butterfly is,
It looks like your dad's butterfly, doesn't it?
it's very close. But there was a lot of crossover. We found one piece, one place that was done by town. It had these, it has these, it's ivy. It's kind of like your design on the other side, but not quite like it. And so there was some copying which, you know, would go with the trade, I guess, because Dad copied some things conceptually from Window August. All right.
Yeah, I don't know. This, I don't know who made this holly pattern. Sheasley made it. And I'm going to make most of my bread trays kind of like this now. I think the flat ones don't sell as well.
Uh-huh. You mean like this one under here?
Yeah. Like that. See, this is what I mean by the flat one.
Oh, I see. The flat one's there.
Remember these? Okay.
That's a different butterfly.
This is a nice pattern here. Very popular on the bread tray.
That was a thistle?
Thistle. It's Scotland's national emblem.
Whose national emblem?
Scotland's.
Scotland's. I see. So you, did you cut that one?
No. No.
Who would have done
I
that
think
one? Would that would have been,
Sheasley.
would Hall have done that one?
I don't think so. I think Sheasley did. Not sure. Could have been Hall though, because, you know, Hall did a lot of things. He only cut dies. He wasn't able to fabricate anything.
Uh-huh. Now here's an ashtray that does have the sailboat on it.
Yeah. And I never cut it. I don't know where it came from. It's like that and over there he saw.
Yeah. Okay. Hold the sailboat one up again. I may have had the recorder off. Okay. You sell those, what kind of price do you have? Like that's $18? That's what you sell them for here?
Yes. I might sell them for $20 this year. I don't know.
Yeah.
Usually revamp things every year. That's why I don't make a price list. But some of this little stuff doesn't move any too well. You got to hit for $25 to $40 for your best selling items.
The people come right here and buy things?
Yes.
Or do you set up a store someplace in the...
Some come here, and I sell down to the grounds. When I sell down to the grounds, I give the institution 25% of the sales as a contribution. And so, but I use that as a means of advertising, which sometimes helps people. The way
see.
things are now here at Chautauqua, people are not staying for a long period of time.
They just come
There's a
for
big turnover. There's
Uh-huh.
at least 70 to 80,000 people come here. And they're here for just a short time. And I like to let them know that they want to come up to the shop, well, then they can.
This bowl, way at the top up there.
That's Arthur Armour Bowl.
All right, that's what I was going to say. I have several of those.
I put it up there.
Here?
It's never used it. And,
You
I
also,
thought I could hammer one like it, but I never got it. I didn't feel it was necessary to do it.
uh-huh.
And, it's easy to make rings like that, and that's, if you want it, I'll give it to you.
Well, let's take a look at it. You give it to me?
Yeah. Let me get something, my ladder's right here. I think it needs touched up a little bit. Maybe I did tighten it up. I did tighten it up there. Yeah. It got loose there.
And it has his mark on there, that very early mark. I hadn't seen one that had that mark.
Mm-hmm.
And
I got it because it's, to me, it was a nice souvenir to keep, that's all.
well, you really want it. I mean, if that's. But I
don't want to, I'd give it to you, but I wouldn't sell it to anybody. I'd put it that way. But, if you think it's something you'd like to have, and it means something to you, why, you should have it.
Okay. Appreciate that very much. It's something you've treasured.
I've enjoyed just looking at it. It needs cleaned up though, you can see that.
Yeah.
Been up there gathering dust. I put it up, that's where I put things where I don't want anybody to touch, where it the top shelf. All
Yeah,
those
there's
things
a,
that I said are old, that's where they were setting.
actually, there's a, what is that? Oh, matchbox holder up there too.
Yeah, that's one of the first was made by Wendell
August.
August, and I'm not interested in making any myself.
No, they,
The
all
wiper
different
peel off
sizes.
here, that this kind of method here was.
Well, you gotta live with it in your garage.
But you see, in the summertime, I have this looking much better. I have nice white paper over my card
Right.
tables I put here,
Uh-huh.
some more card tables, and brighten things up a little. Right now, they look a little dingy.
How many things would you say you made in over time, say early when you first started out, as opposed to when you were doing it as a avocation?
You mean as I did it for myself?
Well, before, when you started in business, you had the aspiration you were going to be in business, and so, and then you started making things. How many would you have made?
With many thousands, thousands and thousands.
But you did it. You didn't have a lot of people working for you at that point. You did have people
I
working.
know, but
How many people did you have at that time?
well, there in Grove City, I've had as many as 3 or 4 part-time workers. I had one person working full-time for a while, and after that experience, I said, I don't want to do that. I don't want the responsibility of taking care of somebody.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
Always. See?
Okay, now did you make that?
No, I didn't make it.
Who was that one?
It looks like Clay Cheesley may have done it. I got it from him. You were going to take pictures of everything I make, and I don't have everything here. I showed you how big that list is.
This one.
You've seen that, I think.
No, I'm not sure. Take a hold of this. There's several things that Jim made prior to World War I or II.
World War II.
II.
These are dies that you made.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, it's all in one die. I had the
Yeah.
primrose, that, and the garden scene all
Yeah,
in
we'll
one die.
put this one, the other one up. Pick the other one, Lois.
And then you did this edge on a ball around there too?
Well, edge.
Yeah,
No, the structure here, I only started to do that 8 years ago, making
Oh,
an
I
edge like that.
Now this
That
is,
you did on the ball and you hammered from back here, huh?
Yeah, that's right.
now this design he did before the war.
Okay. All right, is that enough?
And I don't,
And then there's the, just want you to see that
where
one.
this came from. Clayton
Oh.
Sheehy probably did it.
Clayton
Nice-
Sheehy?
Nice pattern though, nice.
Well, who cut it? Do you know?
I think Clayton.
I don't think
Or he
Clayton
might have
did
had
that.
Bob cut it for him, Jim.
I think Bob did.
He might have had Bob cut it for him, you know?
Yes, I'm sure this isn't Clayton's
Uh-huh.
work. This has to be Bob's. You have this die and you make some of these now?
Oh, yes. I call it peace dye because it reminds me of medical emblems there a little bit.
Well, it's pretty classic. It's sort of a Greek classic, Roman and Greek. It's interesting. That's pretty nice job, but that's,
It makes a nice,
you have these ones that are naturalistic, and then you have ones that are a pattern, and this is one with a pattern. It's a nice pattern.
I like that.
Do it. You say.
That's the only thing.
It's the only thing.
Oh,
So I use this on all of my.
it's a good edge.
It's
Sure,
nice, it
that's
looks
good.
real nice.
I do it fast too. You see, you take any tray I make now, I don't have to lay it out. I just comes out, and just you know, you don't have to trim it or anything. You just maybe trim the corners here, and go around here. Then it's a little bit uneven, but it doesn't take a minute or two to straighten it. And but
What
before I
gauge
straighten-
aluminum do you use? What gauge aluminum did you use? 10?
11 gauge.
11? Okay, where did you buy it?
Aluminum Company of America. You can get it in Buffalo, Cleveland, Pittsburgh. It all comes through the Pittsburgh office.
Came through Pittsburgh, but they had a
They
Williams Company.
Williams and Company.
How much do you have to
Williams
buy at a
Company has
time?
Storehouse in Buffalo and Cleveland, all these large cities.
Oh, they had one in Cleveland, I know that.
How much can you buy? What's the minimum amount you can buy? How much do you have to
I
buy?
never buy less than 500 pounds. The last time I bought 1,000 pounds.
They had a break at 1,000 pounds, didn't they? A price
Yeah,
break?
it was better.
does Joe order his own, or does he take from you?
Oh, he orders Jones.
Oh, he gets from them.
Sometimes he buys it right there in Rochester somewhere. I'm not sure.
Oh,
You remember how much you paid per pound?
I can't remember exactly.
well, you had a building
I
on your
think
land.
30 cents, or does that make 35 cents or 50
Oh,
cents?
When I
that
got
was
it-
years and years ago.
Yeah, well, I'm talking about years
Yeah,
ago.
yeah.
Yeah, that's where I began. It was about that when
Yeah.
I first bought any.
Then it got up to be about $1 a pound.
Now it's isn't it $1.50?
I don't know what it is
The
now.
last I got some from Wendell August, it was
Is that what you paid, $1.50?
$1.15, and then it went to $1.27.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
And now, since Clinton is in, it's going to go up more because it uses a lot of electricity power. That's one of the places it's going to. See,
Well,
they didn't come to me and want to sell their stuff. They
What was
sold
the
it
outcome of
to
this?
each other.
What did you say about that?
His is different yet
Yeah.
than that.
So it's not the same thing.
no, you saw that ivy there.
Right, it wasn't the
Large.
same. It was
Oh,
bigger and
okay.
Well, it's just a popular design. That if a design sells, you make something that sells, don't you?
That's right. I don't make too many of things. And if I can sell with satisfactory my own design, I don't try to sell those things that I made long ago.
Or you
I
try to
just
sell
keep
your own
on
stuff.
hand. Yes, I like to try and sell my fuchsia, my dogwood, my daisy.
You have wooden form to make this in.
Yes, yes. I really put it in the bowl shape form.
Oh, you put it in the bowl.
And then just.
Oh, that I can see. That's a
pound
big
it
flat
from
bowl.
the back and just pound it down and so forth. I make an 8 by 12 larger dish, and it just has nice curves to it. Just
You have a scoring shear, is that what you cut your metal on? The shear?
Which, yeah,
Just-
circular shears,
Just like you do.
hand operated shears.
Oh, one of those,
I just pull the,
works pretty well, doesn't it?
oh yes, sure. I cut right on the line, cuts large
It's exact,
circles,
just
big
one
circles.
exactly like yours.
Exactly like mine.
Yeah, exact same thing.
And the other
Look at the
thing
rest
that
of
I
the
got
pic,
from,
just look at the rest of the,
oh.
these are from that,
These are from that show.
show.
I also got from Clayton Cheesley
Yeah, and this is the
an
historical.
arbor
Society.
press, hand operated arbor press.
Oh, you have an arm.
My son has it, I don't have it here.
How much? Could you form anything on it?
Posters mostly.
Coasters. You formed them, you didn't cut them out.
Oh, no,
I had a punch that you put a piece of metal in and
cut them too. No, it didn't,
Yeah.
no, it didn't cut them, just formed.
you could form them pretty easy, couldn't you?
Yes. And,
Here's the one he makes a lot of these days.
Oh, yes. Did they buy these, somebody buy them, or did you have to mark them?
most of what I made, I gave to the Lions Club.
He's a member of the Lions Club, and so
Oh, I see.
that's how they decorate all the
They-
officers,
they,
you know, they give it to the officers
Pulled your
that
leg on there.
are earning some honor. I don't know what the-
That's one of yours.
So we've collected a few things around.
Oh,
Now that has your old stamp on it.
Go see, stamp,
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
please go see.
Let me see that one. Hold it up this way, Jim. No, I just wanted you to hold it up for me. So I can see it.
Yeah, there you
that's
go.
Yeah, I remember that one from someplace.
You see, this is Finley's pine cone. I don't use it anymore at all.
Was that the die that he gave you, or you
Yeah,
bought it
I
from him?
bought it from him. Oh, I didn't get anything for nothing from Clayton Cheesley. And,
That's has Sheasley's mark on it. Kind of bad shape, but it still has Sheasley's mark on it. That's you have that die.
Clayton Cheesley's got a lot of Bob Hall's dies, didn't he?
I don't know what happened when Bill and
Did Bob make most of the dies for this outfit in Emlington? Because all those dies were bought by Clayton Cheesley.
came from there.
Yeah.
Oh,
And then I got
Yeah.
it from
You
Clayton
lost,
Cheesley.
you mean?
well,
Yeah.
I don't really know whether he.
How long were they in business down there? Not very long, were they?
No.
There's
No, I think he was divorced
stamp I was trying to think of on
from
my
the.
first-
Right. Yeah. You haven't found that one.
I think his
I cut that
marriage to
stamp
this
myself.
girl ended in divorce about the 4th year after they started there. So I don't think it lasted. But the banker was the father of the girl who wanted to marry the fellow who
This would
wanted to
clean up
start the
pretty
aluminum
nice.
shop. It was like that.
Oh, I see.
So I suppose
Banker.
the banker probably paid out of his pocket for
That
anything.
banker was a pretty big shot down
And
there.
that's another
wasn't he?
Sheasley, I think.
Cheesley.
Nice
There
man.
was the banker and
I can't even remember his
then
name.
there
But
was
you
a,
use that die even now,
furniture
don't you?
store down there that a man was a pretty
I have this done.
pretty big, important too.
And I have one similar, just a little larger.
I see.
Oh, this looks like one of mine.
It is.
That's all he's got.
The old
Yeah.
stamp.
He's making a collection of your things, see, as well as everybody else's.
Which
I
one is
see.
But
that?
see,
Jim?
the thing is, Jim, that most people don't know anything about it. They don't have, they find these things, but they don't know where they came from. They don't have any history of it. And they're beginning to collect them in various, and
Oh.
If you're gonna collect it, you ought to know some of the history.
Got dies from other places too, that I have
This-
all
It
This
just
is-
seems to me that a guy like Clayton Cheesley, if he bought dyes various places, his line wouldn't have any, unity about it. Because he'd have Well, you have a die like this, and then you have a die that somebody else makes, and well, a lot of it has to do with who makes the drawing, but
These are
that
one that the children use all the
coach
time here in the kitchen. I
one
was
is,
just looking, I was
is
wondering
distinctive in
why
itself.
this was in such good
Yes.
shape, but this is a
It
Wendell
went through
August
two hands before it got to me.
poster that I
Yeah.
probably had before I ever met Jim.
This book there you have, that's the book that's put out by Danny Woodard from Texas.
I don't know.
And it contains
Some of these.
This one. Oh, that's,
a lot of
Well,
items.
We'll show you,
Oh, these are
this
really.
is
they start out with
Yeah, that's
one log.
probably ours. And
I have it
I had some
divided
of his
into
things.
two
When
parts.
I met
One
Jim,
is the
when I
part that's really handmade, and the other
In fact,
part
I'd
is the
given
part
an Arthur Armour set
that
to
is,
somebody.
machine made, pretty much. So this is Wendell August, and you can see through. You've seen, remember those. And this, and then he comes down
And this is an Arthur Armour statement.
oh, yeah.
to Arthur Armour. I'm the second one in here.
This is yours here. Well,
Then they go on back.
I always like this because the way
They don't
it's
have
set.
everybody. They don't have any.
Doesn't tip over easily.
Cut that die.
there's Everlast here.
Yeah, they have Everlast in there, and probably Continental, and
I don't know whether Joe did. Joe might have done this. Jim. This has a DePonceau stamp on it. Did Joe do this dog with the bird?
It's a dog over there.
Dog with a pheasant or
No,
something?
no.
Is that the
well,
one that was on the,
yeah,
that
you
was the
have
one
that
that was
die.
on our die out there that I was looking at.
Mhm.
Yeah.
This is,
Did you do it?
I did this
Oh, you did it.
just to have, I only did a few of them.
Whose is
I
this?
don't even remember selling any of them.
Well, you must have.
No.
you made that.
Nobody wanted to buy that dog.
Well,
Now, is this a coaster you
I
made with
wouldn't,
the
I
punch?
wouldn't want a grizzly picture like that at my table either.
You
Is
wanna
that
see
the
what
one?
I'm talking about?
I don't know who made these little ships. I have,
Yes, you
this gives you an idea how many little dies I have.
Uh-huh.
You continue to use this 100% handmade,
Use it all the time.
where did you get your stamps made? William,
Remember, someplace in Pittsburgh.
Matthews. Matthews?
I don't remember now.
Matthews.
This schooner, I think that's one that Bob Hall did, Jim. Isn't it? Wasn't that one on one of those old?
It looks like
Yeah.
Ball's work.
Yeah, I think
Oh, this dog has a bird in his mouth.
Yeah.
Yes, I said that looked sort of unappetizing to me.
In our travels, Jim, I've tried to acquire one of each of those kind of things, not one of each of the trademark, not of one of everything. So
She thinks that's.
I have about 40, I think now, companies that made something
Yes.
and with their trademark on it.
That way you could identify an item as to when it was made too.
Well, those dates aren't in there. Nobody knows those dates. That's part of the problem, as this is kind of emerging. They don't have solid information on this stuff. There's very few dates in that book. Now she's coming out with another book. It's supposed to be really any time.
Some of this machine-made work looked very nice, you know, just.
You ought to be in there, shouldn't you? You have.
The,
Then it progresses on to the
I was
junk
gonna
stuff
say,
in the
I
back.
have no idea
I
how
know
many
this much, Arthur.
of Bob Hall's pieces are
My
missing.
bittersweet,
because
dogwood, fuchsia,
Hill
daisy,
at Carnegie Institute of Technology.
patterns sound real good.
And
Yeah.
I made them.
I didn't
You
know
had
these
some
would
that I
go
call them
down.
dogs
I mean,
that I
they
made
were
that
bringing
didn't
them
sell.
home, you see.
Did you
And
have any
all
ones
this
that didn't
stuff.
sell?
and I didn't
Oh,
immediately,
well,
I didn't know
this
about it.
doesn't sell.
They,
So,
all the men at the college were
And,
having a dinner that night,
that
and
primrose
they didn't,
kind
couldn't
of
even locate
wore out.
me.
And,
Yeah.
And we were having trouble getting our
The
phone
what?
door room
That's unmarked,
at,
kind of like the shape what you do.
all of the,
Well, it probably made it.
the storeroom. And by the time I got down
Well,
there.
Kind of like Arthur Palmer too.
Arthur
He
Palmer.
said, I know.
Yeah,
It
He
looks
said, all
like
Bob's things
he
from
had a
this corner
stamp
are gone.
for that, and before he shaped it,
Disappeared.
And you know, we had trucks coming
Hit
in
each
there every
one.
day with men
did.
delivering
like,
different supplies.
I
for the
get it.
college. And all, we could think.
And here's one that's very recent
several of the
origin.
teachers,
Take a look at
and
this.
the head of the whole department tried to find out by devious and various ways.
It's very close
how
to
it
you.
happened.
Eerie.
And all they could figure out was that when they knew that he was gone,
Look at the
somebody said,
trademark in the back.
it's a good chance to get something. So there was a lot of
That's the guy
things
that
there because he'd been doing
started out
two
and
shows,
didn't,
one on each
couldn't
side
sell
of
it.
town.
It was Leroy
Gathering
Barnes'
stuff, and he was also using a summer teaching
Leroy, huh?
thing down
Yeah,
there.
they-
Leroy Barnes who?
So he came and did a lot of artwork, yes, and then he'd just done an art
I remember selling to the Boston store
display,
for a while.
and they
All
had
these big
a
department stores, you know,
school
you
in connection with
you
it,
got the
you
place
know,
where you
question
can
and
hardly
answer
sell
thing
to
and all
them
this sort of
anymore.
thing,
Oh, no.
right on the campus.
And
And
then
he was-
besides
he was
the
graduate,
price
this
that you
was
have to
just
sell them to, you
about
can't
a
make any
month and a
money.
half
You better
before
sell the stuff right here.
Yeah,
He'd
that's
never,
what I
he'd
discovered.
served an apprenticeship.
So I'm glad I
His
went into
son bought him
education.
for his
That
son,
was really,
And his
you know,
father
yeah,
did not
the
believe,
adult
he was
going
offered
to
an art
college,
scholarship
doing my
when he was
undergraduate work, I always
14
thought, boy,
to go
nice
to
to
this
just
school,
sit
and he
here
felt that was his
and
father,
listen to somebody
an
talk
engineer,
about
but he
something
said,
that
"That
knows
is
more than I do.
and I'm not sending my son there to idle his time. But,
This is
Where did you go to high school up in Falls?
this is one that just a more recent production that Dad and I collaborated on. Be a communion tray.
Oh, yeah, it's a nice,
Or went
beautiful
to a-
communion plate, isn't that
Even more
gorgeous? Wow.
sales exchanges.
It's a
or-
combination of the old and the new.
Oh, the sale.
Made this for the church way back in the 30s.
Isn't that beautiful?
The design, and then this was
Beautiful.
more recent design, and then we put them together.
Oh, yeah.
I figured, he always was very careful
Yes,
about
yes,
keeping a catalog
gorgeous. I see
with
here
all
where
his
you,
items.
Yeah.
And so I
Yeah, with
figured
the
the
nickel.
catalog
Mhm.
had to be with them, and there was probably no copy of that. But I did have other papers.
Roy
and
Barnes
things
would have
which showed the
hammered that
existence
edge.
of certain things which I had seen made and knew there should be there, and knew they hadn't been sold or anything, so. I never traced them. I reported it to the police department.
that is,
To keep their eyes on
You
it
like
for
that?
anybody
I-
selling
You
or
like that?
I like it,
advertising
yeah,
anything.
beautiful, I like it.
I like it
Me.
too.
I think it just shows up so good.
Show that to your wife.
Yeah, look at that there. Communion plate, isn't that lovely? That is beautiful. See how nice those town marks show up though when you look at them.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. That's a good idea.
You see,
And then you could place them just right because you set them where you wanted and hit it.
well, see, I do it pretty fast.
Yeah, I know. Well, of course you can do it fast if you do it on the other
Yeah.
side, but it doesn't. It's more pronounced if you do it like that.
Well, it has the effect of doing it on both sides.
Yes, it
When
does.
When you set it down, it
Especially
stays there, you
for
don't
small
move it
seed.
around very easily.
The squeeze is the
It's,
same on this side as it is
Now,
that
maybe
side.
on this
Yeah.
side,
The two
tabletop, you
contours
might push it up a little
match.
bit.
Yeah. Yeah, that's that. You have a contour on the anvil as well as on
And
the.
this will be done with this. Our time's coming to an end. We need to be leaving, but these are
Well, we have a
taken
couple
some of the
extra beds if you can stay all night.
old designs and made them into a little plate or tray.
Nice wall hangers, beautiful. Beautiful.
You know, when Jim built this house for me, I wouldn't come and look at it. I would have nothing to do with the planning of it. I was going to have cancer operation up in the cancer hospital in Buffalo, and I was not ready for this move myself from that place to this. And that was what made him decide to get this. That's too much for you, he said.
Yeah.
And so the first time I gave him any idea of what I wanted, he said, tell me.
help me, I don't have any.
theory of die cutting and how to indicate things.
So we were talking about is how you cut dies, different ways of doing it.
The theory of indicating things in the die cutting.
Well, that Santa Claus is way off in the distance. That's indicated there.
You mean this is in the distance back here?
That and the Santa Claus.
Oh, the Santa Claus is up front.
No,
This one.
Snowman.
Oh, well, yes, sure. That's good. Santa Claus and his reindeer. Well, you do that by making it smaller. But here, I'm talking about like this fence. You see that corner post? That corner's out there, and this comes in on top of it. It's all very, this is a subtle indication, and it's a good job. I don't know how they, on the die, they indicated the hat to look like a felt hat.
That had to be some type of die cutting tool that did that.
Well, I think it was a die cutting tool. Not sure.
It's just stocking it. stitch.
For my
It's just
own
back and forth.
imagination, or for my own,
No, this is stocking it. This is just knit pearl.
Oh,
stocking it
knitification.
stitch.
edification, I'd like to talk with Youngo. But look here, see how this brim of the hat comes up like this and goes and gets a little lighter and lighter and goes behind the head there?
Mm-hmm.
And the same thing happens back here. Now that's pretty flat, but you cut it so that this stands out in front just a little bit, and you indicate the dimension there.
Well, here's your pioneer design then. We were talking about how you did it with that.
Yeah. Well, what is this? Now, this it did turn that, but of course it cut the rough deeper.
Did you?
How's that different from that other picture of?
Well, you indicate the distance between here by the size of the thing. It's the idea of perspective. As things are farther away, they're smaller. This wagon's smaller because it's farther, and these horses are smaller, and that means that they're farther away. A matter of perspective. Back in here you don't see any grass, but out here you see the details of the grass. That means they're out front close where you can see it. You can't see the grass underneath those wagons or underneath those horses.
Well, then you have the area of the outline too that you talked about.
Well, that's a different thing. And it does have an interesting outline. But in this thing, this is a whole different type of design, where you have a scene, you've got perspective, and you have distance. Where in a design was like the butterfly and the dogwood, everything's practically right out front there. You could get the whole thing in 6 inches. Trying to make it naturalistic. I'm trying to make this naturalistic. This is being the same character as this, but I wouldn't do it this way because I think that you have too much of a problem of it going away. I would never try to do this in the design. I didn't.
I mean, you have to be a kind of a horizontal pattern, or
Or,
flat, or stylistic, or
yeah.
either that, or you have to get very, very elaborate, where you're very
Oh
detailed.
yeah, you just got to be very elaborate. Or
Well, let's see, the tall makes them very, very detailed.
oh sure, he makes them detailed, and he's very good at indicating buildings. He can make buildings look good. Your son Tom got the same disease that his father has.
So is Martha.
Martha bought a
The
flute.
flute.
It was
They've got the collector's disease, haven't they?
yeah. It was a what's a green stone? Green. Onyx is black. What kind? Jade, was it jade?
Jade stone, yeah.
A jade flute.
The problem with doing things that are round objects is you can't put shadows on a die.
No, you can't put shadows on a die. You have to. If you have a shadow, it has to be the shadow that's cast by the thing because it's out farther. Just like the reason that you get a shadow on a round head, because it sticks out there and the light hits it.
Well, the tall cut things that were very meticulous and had
Oh yeah.
faces and things.
He's like a die. But he's got his, look how thick he is there. But this is an indication where this probably is, well, I would say in the scale, if this shoulder would probably be, this far out, that'd be about the width of your head, and I think your shoulder would be about the thickness of your head. But so it's a combination of perspective and an actual distance. But here on this side, he has a scene. This is an entirely different thing on the other side. Here he has a lighthouse in the background, and a boat, and a man in the front, and the sea.
Hold it real still. How were those made? There was just, is this a stamp thing or a casting?
Well, I think this has been done in a stamp. Well, I don't know how it's made. I really don't know how this is made.
What's it made out of?
I think this lends itself to the metal. I think this is a disaster on this side because you can't really read it. See, this is a metal to this man who invented the means for the life-saving service of the government. So he divided these. Here's a life-saving boat. Here is a cable that goes across there, and they run the boat across on the cable. Here you have a lighthouse, and here you have I think that's a ship in distress, and you have the sea and all this. And there's a building in that corner. I just don't. I can't make much sense out of it. Of course, if it was polished up, you could probably make more, but I don't think that lends itself to the job. What the front where you have the the man's profile on there, I think that lends itself. To the technique. I don't think this picture lends itself to this technique of die cutting. I'm not a really very, I think I pulled off a pretty good one with this. But I don't particularly recommend it.
Recommend what?
This type of a design for repoussé design. I think it ought to be something like the Zodiac, or like the one up there that you thought was the best thing that Jim had, which was a classical design of various things on one level with a nice outline. This is a compromise between trying to make a scene and a pattern.
Well, there's a lot of mixed, I guess, feeling of what people think is a good job and a bad job, or I guess just doing it doesn't necessarily make it a good job.
Oh, that's certainly right. And I think you can get a good technical job like Natal does of a building or something, but as a general design for a person to have as a thing of beauty in his house, I think the things are failures. A little bit like that, and so you got it in profile. It might be a little easier to do it. Well, of course, he had to. There, you had to come back here and drive it in from in the back.
And still, there's a difference in the style of die cutting and what tools you use and the methods you do it, and what you're trying to accomplish, what kind of a picture you get, or what kind of an impression you get. Because you take and put these two together, this and that, you're talking about two different things,
Well,
basically.
they have some relationship between those two. I think you have some relationship, but
You didn't use the same tools to cut those two dies.
well, he has all these pretty small tools because he goes into hairy business. But you see, first he would work out the shape of the bears, the swell of the belly, and the curve of this and this all up here front. And you've got to get the depth, and then after you get the depth, then you've got to put the detail on. Like this die cutter there, he began with the details.
Which die cutter are you talking about now?
Now I'm talking about this
Coach.
one.
Coach.
He began with the details.
How do you mean?
Well, I mean there, he puts the shingles on the roof before he puts the slant on the roof.
How do you tell that?
Well, how do I tell it? I can just see it. The roof comes out like this. Now you either have to indicate that roof coming out like this by making it deeper, or else you have to put it in a perspective where you have the slant like that. Now if this came like that, it would indicate it. But when you go head on like that, you're in trouble. Because the only way to indicate it was head on is by bringing it out, or if it were putting it in color, you'd make it graded from up here to there. You'd indicate it in the depth of the color.
But on that.
Those are just conventions of painting or any artwork. Now, see, he brought that corner out. That corner's farther out. But it's a combination of bringing the corner out and also bringing it in perspective. He failed down here
Where?
Because this stump's supposed to be round. And it's supposed to be hollow. And this is the front of the stump, and there's the back of the stump. And I don't think that you get the impression that that's a hollow stump there. I think that's a failure.
It was a pretty good attempt, though.
Well, I think it's a pretty good attempt, and I'll buy it. But what I don't buy is putting all the detail on the trees far back here. As you have the picture, here's that one's. Well, this one maybe is half a mile away from that, and you have the same detail on it. See, not the same detail.
You should indicate it some other way.
You have to indicate it some other way. If I was doing it back here, I wouldn't have put any detail on it at all.
Well, if you want to make it naturalistic, you have detail everywhere, and then if it's a pattern.
No. If you want to make a pattern out of it, you make detail everywhere that's in detail. But if you want to make a perspective, you don't put any detail in the things that are farther away. Here
Well,
you have, you see ever needle out, that's got needles on it, but you can't see any needles.
Which one's
Now, they're
got
too
needles
far
on it?
away.
Well, the pine tree standing straight up.
Here you have one intermediate, see? There you have an indication of needles.
In this area, right? Up in here, you mean?
I mean in there.
Well, maybe this one of the bear, it's kind of overpowering because it's.
Well, it's overpowering because it gives you detail everything, and that's part of the pattern. That's the type of thing it is. It's not naturalistic, it's...
But maybe some people like that.
Oh, I think I like it. I accept it. I don't think everything has to be naturalistic.
But the ones you did aren't naturalistic, necessarily.
Everything's a compromise when you're working in a die on a flat surface and you're indicating depths. Everything has to be a compromise. It has to be...
Well, there's a certain element that makes it a good one and a bad one. If it fails in certain categories, and what are the things that they fail on that would...
well, you just don't follow the rules.
What are the rules?
Well, the rules are multitudinous. And then if you had color, you have certain colors that come out in front and certain colors that go back.
Those are the rules you're talking about.
Yeah, those are rules.
It's kind of like life,
See,
huh?
here's
You gotta follow the
here's
rules.
a mistake that he makes in this. Where's your vanishing point? Now, one of the things in in perspective, you have a vanishing point. The vanishing point is where your eye level is. The eye level is this goes up there, and the eye level. Well, I don't think you'd see the tops of those stumps. He's got the tops of the stumps, but if I was doing that, I'd make that top of that stump half of that, at least half of that, because you're back here and you can't see the top of that stump.
So, you should follow the rules and then maybe make stylized changes based on the rules.
Yeah,
as opposed to...
everything is a compromise. You've got to compromise.
Yeah, but if you compromise, but you still
because you're putting something with third dimension onto one dimension, and you do that, you just compromise all the time. Now it's a kind of a combination here when you have a little third dimension, and so everything in the little third dimension has to you have to put together the perspective, and you have to put you can also put that together with some actual farther out. So you do have some actual distance between the thing that's close and the thing that's farther away. I'm not prepared probably to give you a lecture on this all, Tom. I'm trying, but I'll have to prepare some better notes.
Well, it's what you accumulated through all your years
Well,
of doing it.
of course it's,
I guess what we're struggling with is that there are things about your patterns, you know, for some reason, it just works, okay?
well, I think I think this
Yeah.
works, yes, I
Now,
think that works.
what are the elements that makes it so it's not a dud?
I'll have to figure that out. You do a lot of things because your whole years of training have made you come to a conclusion. And when
I
your
guess
son
it's-
asks you to explain your whole life in a few sentences, it's impossibility.
Well, see, 100 years from now, they're going to try to figure this out. And if you...
Well, who cares 100 years from now about figuring it out? If you, what you ought to do is read some of these reviews of art historians, and you ought to read the reviews by Hughes in the Time magazine, hadn't he, Betty?
Why is that?
Well, he uses these big words and he uses concepts that the art critics will ascribe to the painter things that I think the painter never thought about.
Well, see, if you have it recorded like this, then you'll know what the painter thought about.
You better
Then
give the painter a little more time to collect his thoughts. You're giving me a hard time, Tom, and I'm not going to take it anymore.
Well, I'm not trying to give you a hard time. You were trying to give me a hard time, I guess. Turnabout fair play.
Well, I try to give. I think you need a hard time. I'm your father. I think you need a hard time. No, I read these critical art reviews, and I just think the person who's writing the reviews spinning these wheels.
Well, I guess you're trying to put in the human elements of why people do things and what they consider certain standards. And
Yeah, and the guy's long dead, and he tells you all his thoughts, as expressed in his paintings.